So the last component of our discussion on Greece is the Hellenistic. And the Hellenistic is actually one of my favorite parts of Greek time period because it's very theatrical, it's very dramatic. So it's the exact opposite, essentially, of the golden age of classical. And I just find that these pieces are very exciting, they're very interesting. They often have these really interesting stories behind them, which leads us to this piece here, the Loakuan, and or the Laocoon, you may also hear it pronounced. And this piece actually is dealing with a Trojan War story about a priest who wishes to warn, right, the people of Troy about that famous Trojan horse and say, not all gifts are good. So the gods, they don't want this not to happen. So they basically send these sea serpents to kill the priest and his sons, because normally, the children of a person became that profession. So in this case, his sons would have became priests as well. So, basically take out the whole line or the whole lineage, right, in one fell swoop. So you see this amazing theatrical piece of these people writhing as these snakes attack them, and the snakes twisting and turning across their bodies and leaning in to bite them, and the agony, right? The fear. If you're thinking about composition, you'll also notice this is a very energetic composition because it's asymmetrical. So you have a sense of, the asymmetry in a sense, leading that action or making it more dynamic as well. All in all, very, again, theatrical piece, which is Hellenistic, a Hellenistic trademark. Another very famous Hellenistic Greek piece is the Nike of Samothrace. Nike is where victory symbols, and the island of Samothrace is where we find this example. Here you're seeing it in the Louvre in Paris, and I like you seeing this shot because it does allude to the way that the statue was originally meant to be seen. The statue was originally meant to be positioned in this little grotto or this little indented area with a waterfall behind it. So I always think the steps kind of mimic the idea of the waterfall coming down in the original placement of the statue. Now, the statue is a very famous piece linked to naval victory or victory at sea. So if you've ever wondered where the women on the front of boats come from, well, many people credit the Nike of Samothrace. And this piece, meant to signal this idea of victory at sea. Again, she was set in this grotto with this kind of waterfall effect. You get this wet drapery, as we call it, where the drapery becomes translucent. You can see the body underneath. And you also get that Hellenistic dramatic dynamism. I like showing both shots here of the front view and the side view. So you can get a sense of this as a figure striding through space, throwing the wings back, right? The energy, the motion, right, which was really important to the statue. The head has been missing. We don't know where the head was. But again, this piece, very dramatic, very much dealing with victory at sea. And the final work I wanted to show you that deals a little bit with sexuality that you sometimes see in the Hellenistic and drama as well is the Venus de Milo. Now, Venus, of course, is the Roman naming of Aphrodite. So it's a little bit of a misnomer, as we say, or a misnaming. She really should be like the Aphrodite de Milo, but, the Romans will end up inheriting Greek gods, so they'll rename them. So Venus de Milo she is. And this piece, I would say, speaks to kind of like the theatricality of sexuality, where you have her garment kind of slipping down. And I always imagine that her arms, which of course are broken off and no longer with her today, I always imagine her arms are kind of like reaching down to grab at her garment and sort of this sort of like, oh, my moment of, her sort of teasing us a bit as her garment slides off in this sort of theatrical fashion, and very sexy fashion.